What is up, YouTube, and welcome to this Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse review. So, quickly as well, this is also about the brand new Spider-Man Far From Home trailer that has just dropped at CCXP over in Brazil. Now, as of this moment, it hasn't been put online. It is 9/11 on the 8th of December. So, if you start posting and saying, it's up, oh, it's actually up now, don't be a smart ass. I've timestamped it. You're just going to make yourself look like an idiot. But this trailer is really interesting because it doesn't actually pick up on anything from Avengers Endgame. There are no spoilers, well, other than the fact that your boy Spidey's actually alive, but we will just see Spidey on his vacation there around Europe. He's here, he's chilling in Europe. You know what? It's a nice place to be. And then he fights Mysterio and you get a full shot of the costume. But we have really already seen shots of the costume, but we haven't seen him with the big fishbowl thing on his head. I'm interested to see where that goes. And I'm still on that theory that the Tinkerer actually made this tech. And I love the theory that I saw online the other day that Mysterio is creating Hydro Man and all these different villains that are fighting Spidey throughout Europe. And I absolutely adore that theory. I think that would be fantastic if that did actually happen. But will it? Possibly. It'd be weird if they had so many villains unless they're doing the Sinister Six. But that is really it, all the news on that trailer there. But the Spider-Man, the stealth suit looks absolutely sick. I think it looks really, really good. So it's going to be fun to see where they go with that and where they go next with Spider-Man Far From Home. And Jake Gyllenhaal has said that his favourite Spider-Man is Tom Holland, which I'm going to agree with personally. I've been through all of the Spideys and he is my favourite. But Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Now, this is different. Of course, if you have read the comic, the Spider-Verse comic with everything with the Inheritors and the current comic Spider-Geddon, this is incredibly different, and they're just using the Spider-Verse as a whole. So it's really, really good just to put it there. It is absolutely stunning. I loved every single minute of it. Having the different characters having Jack Johnson there as Spider-Man, as Peter B. Parker, was perfect. I love him in New Girl. I loved him in Jurassic World as well. And Chris Pine also playing the perfect Peter Parker of Miles Morales' Earth was just awesome. I absolutely loved it there. And I think that if they're going to do a Spider-Verse story without the Inheritors, having Wilson Fisk is perfect. He is an iconic villain of Spidey, well, and of course Daredevil, but he is also Spidey as well, one of the New York Marvel characters. But it was an odd choice having Wilson Fisk as the villain. Personally, I thought it worked. I thought that the personal kind of story arc worked. I kind of think they went too much into Miles Morales. They never really had much conflict between Wilson Fisk and Miles and the rest of the Spideys. And I think that kind of took away from the film and the motivation. Obviously, I know about Vanessa and, of course, Wilson Fisk, the relationship and all of that. But to the casual fan, they'll just be like, well, who's this guy? To kind of people who are coming in for the first time, of course, it's not the best movie to watch for your first Spider-Man experience. But I really do think that they could have had more conflict between Miles. I kind of feel that they kind of grouped all the Spideys together, had all the great moments, and it was just like, we're going in, we're doing this is our plan, not having any sort of growth with Miles in the form of fighting Wilson Fisk. It was a shame, and I did think at one point when he was just like, well, he's mentioning your family, he's not going to come back. I don't think he even mentioned his family to Miles, so it's a bit weird there. I could be wrong, but that's really the only downside to the movie, and otherwise a really, really good movie. Plot twists such as the Prowler as well. We saw that coming if you were a fan of the comics, if you knew about that already. So yeah, that is a bit odd, but I really did love it. And there were quite a few different changes as well, and I was a bit disappointed we didn't get any Inheritors whatsoever in this, and the Inheritors are a family who feed on totems. Totems being people who have a connection to animals. So, for instance, here, spider totems. And they wanted to wipe out and consume all of the Spideys, so to speak, throughout the multiverse. So they want to do that, and really we didn't get any of that here whatsoever. We just got the multiverse, and they all just fell into each other. But the post-credit scene does set it up. So there will be spoilers here, so I'm going to discuss this. So the post-credit scene is, last chance. It is Spider-Man 2099, which I did think it was really weird that throughout the movie, it was Alchemax. So the Alchemax technically were the villain. They were the organisation that created, I presume, created the Spider that bit Miles himself. And it seemed like Fisk set up Alchemax, who in 2099 controlled the entirety of the United States of America. And Spider-Man Miguel 2099, he did actually work for that company. So that's quite a big thing there. And if they do a sequel, I'm expecting him to go back in time to try and stop Alchemax from becoming the behemoth that it actually was in his time period. And Miles Morales was actually bitten by a spider that was made by Oz Industries. So changing that up there as well, gender swapping Dr. Octavius as well, which I don't really mind. I thought the design of her was actually really sick, and having her as like a shrewish sort of doctor in the videos was pretty awesome as well. So I really did love that. I adored that. I really did think that was pretty cool. Having Spider-Gwen as well, Hailee Steinfeld did a great job. I'm not a big fan of Hailee Steinfeld. I really find her cringe in Pitch Perfect. But the reports coming in for Bumblebee, and supposedly she's really good in Bumblebee. But she was great as the Spider-Woman here, first introduced in 2014 in The Edge of the Spider-Verse. So if you are a fan of this movie, go and check out the Spider-Verse comic. There's quite a lot to read. There's a lot of kind of spin-offs, etc. really to read, which I would actually recommend reading that. You can pick up a trade paperback that has the entirety, has all the kind of spin-offs that you actually need to read in it as well. So go check that out. Get that from your local comic book store as well. So that was really good. But I'm expecting that with the sequel, with Spider-Man 2099 getting involved, as he puts on a portable device at the end that allows him to travel throughout different dimensions, I think that at some point the Inheritors will notice that the spiders are starting to travel between the dimensions as well, because they have control of the multiverse with the web of the multiverse as well. They actually control that. So I think that will probably be the sequel, in my opinion. Or at least maybe if they decide to do a third movie, because the most obvious choice at the moment is Miguel going back in time to stop Alchemax. But I'm not too sure on that just yet. He never actually... I wasn't sure if he mentioned the time. He mentions a different Earth. So I think instead of having him in the future, they're just having him as a different Earth. So that, again, could mess things up. But the post-credit scene was amazing. It was the funniest and best post-credit scene I think I've ever seen there. It was hilarious. And I loved the fact that we had the Stan Lee and Steve Ditko tribute, and everyone in the cinema clapped as well. I'm not even joking. They actually clapped. I've never ever seen that before in my life. But the film as a whole was really good. We had a lot of there is just so many Easter eggs. I might do a separate Easter eggs video of this, because on the phone we saw B. Bendis, who created Miles Morales. We had Steve Ditko as well, who obviously drew Spider-Man and things like that, created the iconic Spider-Man, of course. But having all the different characters was really good. As a whole, the movie was stunning. Really is well worth going to watch. And I kind of, if you take away the whole fact that there wasn't much motivation in the villain other than the fact that they were going to potentially destroy the entire universe, yeah. But we had different versions of Scorpion. We had Tombstone as well as the henchman. And the whole Prowler storyline was really good. Completely different as well, because they actually teamed up to fight different characters as well. So Miles actually teamed up with his uncle. So they've changed quite a lot of his origin story there. So that is curious. And I'm still unsure how it is actually connected to Venom as well. But very, very good movie, and I do wish they kind of explored the Spider-Verse just a tad more. It would have been interesting to see, but again, it is just an animated movie, so at the end of the day, take it at face value, and it's really, really good. But that is it for this video. Please drop a like, please subscribe, and I'll see you soon, and goodbye.